Hike and fly racing, a foot and wind-powered battle to harness the elements and outmaneuver your competition over vast distances. It's been big in Europe for decades, but only in the last 2 years has it come to the United States. For the first time, top-level pilots from Europe have come to Monroe, Utah, to pit their skills against the locals and fly the big air of the desert Southwest in a 3-day stage race.
For you who know this area, you're used to this, but those who aren't, gust fronts can happen wicked fast here. So be really wary of Virga, things dropping out. Don't push it. Stay where you've got a lot of exits. You should have a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D that you can execute pretty fast. 9-minute start. Have fun, everybody.
I hadn't run one here forever because I didn't think it was possible. I just didn't think we could do hike and fly here. The number of launches required and the terrain and the remoteness and the deepness and the difficulty of retrieve and getting people out, I didn't really think it was possible.
To start the course, competitors will race on foot to the first launch site, unfold their wings, and then race in the air to the following turn points. If they land to tag a turn point, or just fail to reach it in the air, pilots have the option of continuing on foot or seeking out another place to launch and attempt to finish the 51-kilometer course in the air.
Okay, we started out running, see if we can keep that up. But now we're just crossing some random hills. I have no idea where I am. I figure if these pilots are doing it, probably a good move.
My name is Jeff Loncourt. Please sponsor me. No, don't. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
Probably about 6th place here. Should have trained harder.
It does take a certain kind of person to really go for it in hike and fly racing, because you are subjecting yourself to the thing that's going to hurt you, which is the ground.
This changed radically in the last 10 years, where the hike and fly becomes a real sport. The paragliding company start to develop really proper gear for hike and fly, means good performance glider, which are fairly easy to fly with very good weight compromise for this kind of equipment.
Got passed by those Europeans. They are something else, dude.
Oh, man.
You ain't running uphill, you ain't shit, I guess. Good, buddy.
Competitors need to have extreme fitness and be able to think like a chess player to pick the best route. The combination of fitness and tactics make this one of the hardest forms of adventure racing. Flying isn't just a matter of gliding down. Pilots look for features in the terrain that cause rising air. They ride thermals to high altitude, and these tactics can extend their flights over huge distances. When they land to tag a ground turn point, it's another foot race to the nearest launch.
Hike one, hike two, hopefully a long flight two.
Hike and fly is very special because you are operating very independently. And this year, the competition level is just, it's insane. It's really stepped up.
Whew. Let's finish strong, the last part. We saw the problems already today or yesterday in the area. There are not that much hiking trails, which we have in my country in Switzerland, you have everywhere.
So just tagged the first waypoint down at the rodeo grounds LZ. And now we are running down the road to get up to the lower level cove launch.
Heading up the cove for the second launch of the day. Hiking with the legendary Tyler Burns. Yes! Hopefully not too far behind. Having a blast! Woo!
All of the pilots are headed to Cove Launch, halfway up Signal Peak. It looks like a tight race between Aaron Duragati and French pilot Tanguy Renaud-Goud. Aaron is the first to launch and quickly finds a thermal that takes him to 13,500 feet, with Tanguy right behind him.
You open it, man.
It's no longer a race against other pilots. The weather is turning dark, and pilots must reach goal before things get too nasty in the air. These wings are designed for maximum safety and speed, but the power of nature can easily become too much for a paraglider to handle. Thunderstorms can suck a pilot into the upper reaches of the troposphere. Rain can cause a wing to collapse, sending the pilot earthbound. And gust fronts dropping out of these big storms can blow a pilot miles into the wilderness. At the end of day one, Aaron Duragati is the first to reach goal, and it's clear that the local pilots are going to have to find ways to shave some time off of the next 2 days of racing.
I landed because the sky looked fucked and people staying there.
Yeah, it's very flat after the takeoff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's technical to fly.
This is a much nicer place to land than where Aaron is. We've got grass. We landed in a parking lot over there.
Yeah, the flying was not that easy actually. I got a bit lost at the beginning.
It took so much more than I needed. I was like, I don't want to be low again. I came into the cylinder at like 2,000 feet, and I thought it was a race to the ground, so I just spiraled so hard.
I don't know how the task committee planned this, but I had plenty of altitude to glide into goal, other than the fact that the Virga is right over goal. Right over.
When I saw that it was you, Revis, and Ari coming into land, it all made sense. I was like, oh. Okay.
This is just the most ridiculous sport. Every time I do a hike and fly race, I have some kind of experience like this where I'm just like, what am I doing up here?
Clouds are kind of scary.
Yeah.
Feeling like today's gonna be just a hike day. Like a gnarly hike day.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
With day one already testing most of the pilot's ability to fly in less than ideal conditions, and day two shaping up to be even worse, the task committee has set a short sprint task, only 25 kilometers long, that stays close to town in hopes of getting pilots into goal before the forecasted weather hits.
I had a pair of tights for every day, but I think today is going to be all about the fresh movement, you know?
Yep.
You know, yesterday was pretty dynamic. It got really big, really fast. You know, I thought early in the day that we undercalled this task, and it ended up being spot on. And it actually on the edge.
Keep going, and then just like there was a huge thundercloud. It was all falling out and just like lift right in front of it. And so I just like got to 11.5.
So you was actually like soaring up the rain in the morning, some training. Wow.
Sort of the rain. Really.
While some seem to be setting a pace focused on walking the course, others seem motivated to get to launch to, at the very least, glide out to the second turn point.
And down in the valley, so I think you can get down to the turn point, no problem.
Okay, that's cool.
Aaron Duragati, Tanguy Renaud-Goud, and Eric Clammer have made it to the first turn point well ahead of the pack.
Every day it gets easier, right?
Let's not have other people do that.
Yeah, that's spicy.
These guys are not getting this good a ride.
The wind direction coming from that way.
Right now it's south. Right now we're up. It's this way. But as soon as you get down below this layer, 15, 20K out of the north.
ridge sort.
If your waypoint's here and the next one there, it's not often just connecting those dots. You know, it's going into different terrain and following different cloud streets or going out to the flats or going around a big storm. But whoever can stay in the sky the best, and that comes down to the best pilot, and that comes down to experience. There's only one way to become a 10-year pilot, is to fly it 10 years.
Just hit the first turn point at the top of the Midway Monroe, gliding out down to Poverty. Let's make the most of this day. We're doing good. I'm in 4th right now, right behind Aaron, Tenge, and Eric Clammer. Feeling pretty good about this. We're gonna try and clear this hill and see how far we can make it. Rad!
Pilots are all able to make the glide to turn point 2 and walk into turn point 3. The real question now is what tactics will pilots use to get to goal? The option to hike back uphill and look for a launch would be the obvious choice if it were easy to stay in the air. Those who choose to run to goal might be able to beat them there.
Get it!
Aaron decides to head to higher ground and relaunch, while Tenge opts for the road route. For a short while, it pays off for Tenge, but once Aaron is in the air, he jumps back into the lead.
It's a little bit shitty, but I'm hiking in my gear, trying to get up higher.
Okay, so most people who launched with me, we didn't get a very good glide, so we ended up landing just shy of the turn point that we were supposed to tag in the air. So I packed up quick, hiked up and hit it, and now I'm ready to run to the next ground point. And now I'm running or jogging to the finish. Got about 1.5 miles left. I don't see anyone behind me, but the sun's out, so people could maybe relaunch. It looks like someone did. Oh boy, I better get moving.
Hopefully I can find a relaunch site, save me some walking. Yeah. I don't like it.
Aaron Duragati makes it into goal in first place again on the second day of competition, followed by Tenge Renaud Good and Eric Clammer.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think the task committee could have given us something slightly more challenging today. I still feel pretty good after.
Duragati going in at like 10:30 a.m.
Yeah. When I was hiking in here, I looked at my watch like, it's noon? What? It was like 8 hours.
Well, we'll see what tomorrow brings.
I'll take an afternoon rest though. It's gonna be fucking wet hiking flying.
Yeah.
X Redrocks, day 3. Not feeling super good, but
From all the people that I've seen
hike up
in a similar
this mountain right here, and then go all the way down there, and then all the way back. We'll see how it goes. Definitely feeling it today, but
Get your hands on the ground for the camera.
With 2 short tasks behind them and only 1 day left of racing, the task committee has stepped it up a level and provided an 82-kilometer course that should take the pilots the full day. A good task should take the entire day to complete, and not all of the athletes are expected to make goal. With talk of strong winds in the forecast, the pilots aren't sure if the task is possible, and if the headwind will be too strong to fly in.
what are you thinking?
There are 2 options, just gliding towards the turn point or landing a bit higher on the highway and walking towards turn point and fly maybe almost to the turn point.
A little bit of cumulus development. Now it's supposed to fill in with quite a bit of cumulus here in the afternoon, base 13 to 15,000 feet.
Most of the forecasts were showing no dropout from any of that, but there are some forecasts that show chance of storms in this valley.
Not getting pinned on this ridge and staying out in front of this ridge is totally fine. Making all the distance we can in the air, and then if it's not feeling good anymore, land and do the rest on the ground.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, have one!
I got strapped in and some 20-mile gusts were coming through and I was like, so fast.
Once again, Aaron, Tanguy, and Eric are leading the pack early on day 3, along with adventure class competitor Isaac Lammers. But with no trail to speak of, athletes pick their way through the terrain and look for a suitable place to launch.
Just up here, it's nice and clear.
The leaders aren't worried about launching too early because the next turn point must be hit on the ground. Their goal is to glide as close to the next turn point as possible and make some distance on the ground while others wait for better flying conditions on launch. With strong winds in the forecast, it looks like today will be much more tactical, and getting into the right position at the right time will be critical to completing the course. It seems that launching early was the way to go, because the wind is already picking up, and many athletes are finding the launch conditions difficult. Between the shifty conditions and the ground cover snagging their lines, the pilots left on launch are having much more trouble getting in the air. A group of pilots have found a rising column of air, and they're doing their best to capture every inch of lift that it offers. If it saves a mile of walking, it could be a major advantage today.
Coming straight down.
As everyone starts to filter into the next ground turn point, a real decision must be made. A 30-mile-per-hour headwind means that their wings won't be able to penetrate into wind. So the pilots are going to have to walk the next 21 kilometers on foot to the next turn point. Knowledge of how the weather will change throughout the day and how pilots position themselves in the terrain has become much more important than athletic prowess.
Okay, so another real tough ground day. We launched, we glided. Did okay on the glide, but the turn point's still so far away. And it's a ground point. And right now, I have no hopes of coming up with Isaac here. He's just a monster. He's a monster. Teamwork.
Is that already breaking the rules while driving a car? Cool, thank you.
Have fun. We'll catch up to you later.
Really not really excited to paraglide in this.
Competitors who chose to take the high road are realizing that they are far from any sort of resupply, and some are second-guessing their decision. As a few continue moving along the ridge, a group looks for a way to glide back out into the valley, where they hope to make forward progress in the air. With wind speeds matching the top speed of their paragliders, getting in the air is extremely difficult and dangerous. Even after they've made it into the air, pilots are finding that they are most likely not going to be making any forward progress, as the wind blows them backwards and sideways along their course. Strong gusts make keeping their wings under control difficult even for these expert pilots. Only as they make some distance into the valley and gain ground clearance can they even start to relax.
What a fun day. Currently 6 hours and 22 minutes in. About 3:40 gives us 3 hours and 20 minutes to go. So let's see what we can pull off.
It's supposed to back off later this evening. So we're back somewhere around here at 5. Fucking winter.
Yeah, you know what? They're on the ground.
Right, exactly. That's why I just kept coming up. See what happens.
So I think what's interesting about hike and fly athletes is that, they are these fantastic endurance athletes, able to go hours and days and thousands of meters on the ground. And then they've got to change their brain when they're in the air, and it's not a physical sport when in the air. It's getting into flow state, and then making decisions all day throughout the day to stay in the air and make the best moves.
The pack is split into 2 groups. One has headed into the high terrain, gambling on the chance that they can relaunch. But it's a much tougher hike and a rougher road.
I don't know any way around it. Or just time of day. If we walk all the way to here, we might get fucking hosed.
Yeah,
This
we need
might
our
be our
setup time.
I
That
think
could
that's
be
our
the
best.
spot.
Gamble.
Looks nice.
Yeah, it looks nice. It's not that far away.
The other group is trying to make distance on pavement, walking straight towards the turn point. But if it becomes flyable, they will be much further from any potential launches.
Yeah. God damn. 22 miles already.
All right, going for it. I'm gonna hike up that, try to launch. I'm gonna fly that ridge. If it works, it's finally calmed down at the end of the day. Got till 7 p.m. It's like 5:15 right now. Let's see what happens.
Here I am at the far adventure turn point. Last one is just to make it back to goal. But right now, everything is way too strong to launch. I think I'm gonna hang here. I don't know that I'm gonna make any more progress on the road. I'm gonna hang here.
James Elliott has found a small hill to launch on that could lift him into the higher terrain. It's 40 kilometers to goal, but in this wind, with a perfect flight, he could make it. The wind has finally died down, but it's still barely flyable. Only the most skilled pilots are willing to get back into the sky and try to finish the course. Launching and landing in these conditions takes nerves of steel, as it's the most dangerous time. Rotor off of the terrain plays havoc on a wing. Mix that with very little altitude for recovery, and it's a stressful moment. With only 20 minutes until the end of the race, pilots are hoping to take advantage of the strong wind that's been in their faces all day and use it to fly as close to goal as possible in the final minutes of competition. Even though James is currently in first, Aaron made an important sacrifice earlier in the day when he diverted off course to help a crashed pilot. He gains a crucial 30 minutes of awarded time, and if James doesn't pick up a few minutes right now, it might not matter if he's first in goal.
Oh, so amazing. Wait, am I the first one here? Just checking.
Just as his 30 minutes of awarded time is about to run out, Aaron Duragatti lands in the final turn point, tying with James Elliott. Aaron was by far the most dominant figure of the 2022 Global Rescue X Redrocks, and is one of the best hike and fly athletes in the world. So tying with him is a huge achievement for James, and it proves that it is possible for North America to produce world-class athletes in a sport dominated by Europeans.
Nice work, man. What an awesome flight. About 40 kilometers from the south turn point, and came in first to goal ahead of Aaron Duragatti and Moncannell and a lot of these just legends of the sport. I don't think anybody else other than myself and Duragatti actually made it into goal today. Very cool. Very cool.
Landed just about a minute before 7 o'clock. Just pushed full bar right here. The cutoff time, the landing time, for an absolute crazy full day, which ended with something like a 30-mile glide all the way from one reservoir almost to another along these beautiful cliffs in this beautiful place. It was full on all day, and it's been an incredible race. See you next time.